All right, you just saw her there, freshman Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez calling out Congress for not solving the student debt crisis.
So they were setting people up to fail. And I'm hearing people on this committee saying it's not our job. This is our job.
All right, but should wiping out student debt be a top priority in Washington? Here to debate that, Democratic strategist Dee Dawkins-Hagler and GOP pollster Chris Wilson. Guys, thanks for coming on this morning. Chris, we'll start with you. Free everything. Sounds great. Why not?
Yeah, it really is. I'll tell you, one of the benefits of the leftward movement of the Democratic Party is they are exposing just how different their views of America are from the fundamental rights and privileges what this country was founded on. If they had the opportunity tomorrow, they would throw out things like the Second Amendment, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, for the purposes of just a culture of giving away freedom, giving away free stuff. You want to borrow tens of thousands of dollars for the study of the cultural anthropology of San Francisco hipsters? It's free. If you don't want to have to drive to work, Beto O'Rourke says it's a fundamental right to not have to do so. And the problem with this is as we have seen every state that has tried to give away, has tried to create this type of system, is you end up with a fundamental rationing of these freedoms. And that's what's occurred in communist China. It's what's occurred in the former Soviet Union. It's what's occurred in North Korea. And I think it's a real problem that as these sort of platitudes of freedom become their campaign platform, this doesn't work.
Dee, over to you. $1.5 trillion in federal student loan debt in this country. It is a big problem, but how do Democrats explain to people who paid off their student loans that we now have to raise your taxes to pay for everybody else's student loans?
Well, first of all, good morning. I don't think that we should necessarily have to raise taxes, but we do use tax money to bail out major banks and to also bail out automobile industries. We should do that same investment in the people who live in the United States of America. And I don't think it is out of the question to help people get a better lease on life. And I mean, especially like, say, for instance, where I live in Georgia, we use the Hope Scholarship from lottery purchases to help people go to school. So there are creative ways to help people go to school without them having to take on the burden of such high student loan debt.
Chris, respond to that, because she makes a good point. I mean, a lot of federal money, tax money, was paid into these huge banks back in 2008, 2009 to save to save the auto industry as well.
Well, I think it's a false narrative. I mean, the fact is that you're right. There's a lot. The government has several purposes, but when it gets down to it, this whole idea of the government paying for everything that we may decide to do, regardless of the purpose, is just absolutely absurd. And the two don't actually equate to each other.
All right, we're going to go on to a second issue here. Beto O'Rourke, another person you're going to see on stage tonight at the debate, is now saying that living close to where you work is a right, that you have a right to live near where you work. Dee, I don't know where to go with this, but I just want to get your response to that idea.
Well, you know, I would love to live near where I work. That's actually a privilege. So this is one time I'm going to have to say that Beto O'Rourke was off point. But what I will say is we need to make sure that wherever people live, they have accessibility and affordability to take public transportation to their jobs. It makes no type of sense for us to be in the 21st century, and it takes anyone an hour, 2 hours to commute to work. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. So we've got to do a better job here in America figuring out how people can get to work better than they do right now. But to say it's a right, I mean, come on. I mean, I would love to work at home.
And Chris, you know, that's what I was just thinking. You know, I mean, Beto obviously is fighting for air, trying to get attention at this point. But I mean, how do you implement everybody living near work as a right?
Well, again, it gets back to what I said earlier. It's a culture of entitlement. And what you see, as you said, as Dee pointed out, is a campaign that is really floundering. He's doing anything he can to get attention. It's almost gotten to the point of being sad to watch. It's just like one of those sort of wrecks off the side of the road that you slow down and you say, all right, is that really happening? And that's the Beto O'Rourke campaign for president right now. What can I do to call attention to myself and trying to get people to pay attention to me?
Well, okay, guys, thank you for your time this morning. We do appreciate it, Dee and Chris.
Thank you.
I'll be back. All right.